Boa tarde aos todos. That means good afternoon, everyone. And because this is TED, you might like to know the word viagem as well, which means journey. Now, I have been learning Portuguese for about a year and a half now, and here's my biggest insight. Brazilians want to love you. They want to be loved by you. They just don't want you to understand them. And that's why, cunningly, they chose Portuguese as their language. Now, at first glance, it's straightforward. I've heard Spanish speakers say, it sounds just like Spanish, except you're holding your nose. It's very straightforward. You can look at newspaper headlines and recognize words. You can see from shop signs. That's what I was doing. Let me introduce you to the first 3 words that I learned. Let's see if it works. Yes, familia. What does that mean? Family. Second word, depende. That means depends. Okay, this one, a little harder. Navegar, to navigate, right? Oh, for heaven's sake, it could almost be English. Look at it. I thought this is so easy. Now, admittedly, my first sentence in Portuguese, it depends on my family navigating, had limited applications in everyday use. But it inspired me. I said, yes, I'll go on and do this. And actually, I had no choice. Why did I have no choice? Because I had been commissioned to write a book about my usual things, you know, of drugs, guns, favelas. I write about organized crime and politics and that sort of thing. And one of my interviewees is in a federal penitentiary, maximum security. And so he doesn't speak English, so really I had no choice at all. But as I said, Portuguese is deceptive. It's very deceptive. Amongst Portuguese speakers, the greatest amusement is caused by my pronunciation of the nasalized diphthongs and vowels, such as ao and I. My first Portuguese teacher said that my initial attempts at pronouncing these were sounding like a cat being tortured. Not in Portuguese, but a cat being tortured in Polish. And those nasal sounds, they're the easy bit. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm having real problems with this language. Why is it? I already speak several foreign languages, some of them more distant from English than Portuguese, like Czech, for example. Okay, here's the thing. When I last learned a language, I was in my late 20s. I'm now in my mid-50s. I know. I find it hard to believe too. And believe me, when you've got to your 50s, strange things start happening to your brain, as I'm sure the 50-somethings here will understand. Or maybe not. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But memory, oh my word, my memory, it's just going all over the place. Now look, I can tell you who was #1 in the British charts in May 1967. Sandy Shaw with the puppet on the string, fresh from her victory at the Eurovision Song Contest. But can I tell you if I remembered to lock the back door 5 minutes ago? No, I can't. What is that? Well, that's because in language terms, the gradual domination of long-term memory over short-term memory means that when it comes to grammar, it's fine. I've been operating in foreign languages for 40 years or so. I know what the subjunctive mood of a verb is, and I know when it might be needed. But short-term memory, learning new vocabulary, particularly something like Brazilian Portuguese, where many of the words have origins in Arabic, African languages, and indigenous languages. So that's when younger people have a real advantage over me. The second thing about your 50s. Now, like a lot of you here, I spent a lot of time listening to loud music when I was younger. And as a result, age-related deafness is accelerating. This is critical in understanding why I have so many problems with Portuguese, because our innate ability to imitate sounds and absorb them starts dropping off at about the age of 12, and it's more or less over by the time you're 25. So for me, the intellectual process of learning how to pronounce Portuguese is one of sort of hit and miss mimicry, made much, much more difficult by the fact that I'm basically half deaf. So I want to show you what happens, okay? So envisage this. I'm in a supermarket. I'm in Zona Sul here in Rio. And I've got my trolley, and I'm putting my milk in, and then I'm going to put in my grape juice. In fact, I wanted to buy eggs, but I always get the word for egg and grape mixed up. So, and then I'm going, and I'm saying, I'm going to the, where am I going? I'm going to the checkout. And I'm saying to myself, when I get to the checkout, I'm going to give my money. I want my change back, and please, person in the checkout, don't say anything to me, because I won't understand it, and then I'll look stupid, and I'm British, and I hate looking stupid. And then I get to the checkout, and this is what happens. Or at least I hope it's what happens. Let's see. I'm waiting for an out-of-body experience. And it's not coming. Let's see if it comes now. No, it doesn't. So, I could sort of skip over this. It would be a shame, believe me. I will try and click it again. I've got a new clicker. Lucky on me. Let's see. Still not working. No, I wonder if Craig could do it manually from behind. Okay, so check out.
Se você fizer, você ganha 15% de desconto na sua primeira compra e ainda concorre a par de ingressos para o show da Miley Cyrus.
What was that? I've absolutely no idea. Okay? Absolutely no idea. But let's hear it in English.
Would you like to sign up now for a loyalty card? If you do, I can give you 15% off your shopping today, and you have the chance to win free tickets to a Miley Cyrus concert.
OMG! I missed the chance to get free tickets to a Miley Cyrus concert. Okay? And shall I tell you why? Because this is what I heard. Yeah. So there we have it. The first two things about your 50s which makes learning a language difficult, which were, of course, memory and deafness. And the third thing, well, a professor of modern languages at Cambridge University explained to me that when her students go abroad for their year off for language training, she can always tell which ones, when they come back, have acquired a boyfriend or girlfriend abroad. Because she says they're just much chattier, and they're really good at saying phrases like, you know, you look really great in that dress, right? Now, why is that? It's because in your teens and 20s, chatting people up and getting drunk are often part of learning a language. It's very true. And partying and socializing is fantastic for learning a language in general. Now, in your 50s, 9:30, 9:45, oh God, do you know, all I'm ready for then, frankly, I want to be tucked up in bed. By then, I do, and the only thing I've got enough energy to do is to watch an episode of Breaking Bad. That's it. Okay, 2 episodes of Breaking Bad. Anyway, but despite all these problems, I will persist with learning Portuguese. Why will I do that? Well, the brain is like a muscle. And so that means if you practice it, we have evidence that learning a language in your later years can help you ward off the onset of dementia later on by as much as 4 or 5 years. That's not bad at all. So I see my daily Portuguese studies as a workout for the brain. But also, Portuguese is key to Brazilian identity. Now, some people in the past have said that football or soccer is key to Brazilian identity. Not after this summer, they don't. says the Englishman, right? Okay, but if you think of South America, okay, what defines Brazil? Brazil, it's Portuguese language. It makes it very different from the rest of South America. Now, this week, we've heard how this country faces big problems. It has divisions on ethnic and on wealth lines and things like that. But it also comes together through one thing, and one thing alone, in my opinion, and that is the Portuguese language. It binds this nation as no other aspect of the nation's life can or does. It's absolutely fantastic. So by learning Portuguese, what I'm really doing is beginning to understand this incredible country and its culture. But as I said, it is not easy. And here in Rio, we speak a variant of the language called Carioca, right? Now, frankly, that's like trying to learn the Queen's English in Louisiana. It really is. It's very, very difficult, okay? But I'm going to give you some tips on, just before I end, on 1 or 2 things. If you want to learn Portuguese, you need to know these following things, okay? An O is pronounced a U sometimes. An E is pronounced an I sometimes. And don't get me going on the bloody R. Oh my God, at the beginning of the word, it's an H. In the middle of the word, it is an R again. And then at the end of the word, it's a sort of H sound. I mean, so the city here, Rio, it's not called Rio, it's called Rio. Now, I ask you, what sort of language is it that has letters in it which change their sound from word to word depending on where they are in the word? It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Now, as someone who spent 20 to 25 years of their professional life in rather grim circumstances, sometimes in Eastern Europe, I was covering civil wars, I was covering organized crime, and it was really tough. And I came here to Brazil, where I wanted to continue my work, and I had to deal with some depressing subjects here as well. But what learning Portuguese has taught me, and getting to know this culture, is despite all their challenges, Brazilians exude a fantastic sense of optimism and a fabulous joie de vivre. And that is summed up in my favorite Carioca phrase, fiquei no modo palhaço, which means literally, I was in the hand of the clown. Figuratively, it means I was so drunk last night, I have absolutely no idea what I got up to, and I don't even know if I got home or not. So, please, I want you to enjoy Rio. I want you to have a great time with the Cariocas, but don't bother trying to understand them. But most importantly of all, as far as I'm concerned, stay well away from the hand of the clown. Obrigado e boa noite. Thanks, Chris. Yeah.